Welcome back, everyone. In this video, our goal is to add a footfall decal, that is a footprint specific to whatever landscape layer our player is traversing upon. Now, note, I'm not going to be doing this for all our differing surfaces here, but I will walk you through how you can set this up for one of our landscape layers, and then you should be able to take that knowledge and go from there. Now, in order to make these different footprints appear in a surface type, we need to spawn in a decal. And right now, what I've done is I've placed what is known as a decal actor into our level, just to kind of give you an idea of what we will be spawning in. So these decal actors, they take in something known as a decal material, and all it is it's a projection down onto a surface. These can be projected onto vertical surfaces, FYI. And you can see with my decal actor here placed into my level, I could size it up if I wanted to. I could rotate it. I could do all kinds of things. And the way these decal actors work is you can kind of see my green bounding box around it. So long as that is intersecting a surface, it will show up. If it is off the surface, and I know those green lines are a little bit hard to see, you won't see them. So what we're going to be doing here is creating some decal materials and then spawning them in. Okay, I need to pause the video here and destroy some of the decal materials that I've made just to show you what these are so that we can create those from scratch. Be back in just a moment. Okay, first things first, we need to import some textures at this point. You should find these textures attached to this course. The ones that I am talking about are these T_gravel_footprints. I've got some left and right foot versions here, both an _D version that stands for diffuse and the _N, which is the normal version. I'm just going to left click, hold down shift, and left click over here to select these 4 textures, and then I'm going to bring them into this location in my content browser, my content landscapes texture folder. And it's as simple as dragging and dropping them into your content browser after you have downloaded them. Now, some of these will look kind of terrible and streaky and whatnot in your content browser. That's okay. That's not going to affect the look of them in the game. Let's just go ahead and save all right away. And now what we want to do is we want to create some materials. We want to create a left-footed version material and then a right-footed version material, specifically a decal material. So the way we can do this quickly is I am going to right-click on this left foot _D. We're going to create a material, and we will simply call this decal _gravel _footprint _left. And then I'm going to double click on it to open it up. And you can see because I right clicked on that, and in my right click menu I chose to do a create material, it automatically hooked up our texture sample here to the base color. Now I actually want to bring in this texture as well, so if I left click and drag it on in here, I will bring in our normal texture sample as well for the left foot. Okay, and that's a good thing to do while undocking here. You can kind of drag these things into the material graph. Now with those in, I'm simply going to dock this across the top just to give me a little bit more screen real estate here. And what I need to do is I need to check if my material over here is set to the proper material domain, and by default it is not. When we want to spawn in a decal, we need to change our material domain here from surface over to deferred decal. And again, you can do this by clicking on your master material node or having no node selected. Then over in the details panel, select material domain. Now you're going to get a little error here saying our blend mode needs to be translucent. That's fine. We're going to change our blend mode to translucent. And then we see no error, so we can exit out of there. So you should have deferred decal, translucent as your blend mode. All right, we can hook this texture sample up to our normal input right away. Actually, but before we do that, I'm going to drag off of our RGB right here and bring in a power node. And I am going to have this power node have a const exponent of 3. And the reason I'm doing this is just to kind of pump up that little bit of depth effect. We're going to plug that into the, not the opacity, rather, sorry, the normal input. And then with our texture sample node, we're actually going to unhook this wire. I'm going to hold down the Alt and left click to undo that. And I'm going to bring in a multiply node. Hold down the M as in multiply and left click to bring in a multiply node. Let's bring in our RGB through the A. We're going to multiply this by a const B value of 3. Let's go 0.3. I misread my notes there. And then we're going to plug this into our emissive color. Lastly, we're going to take the A value here, that is the alpha value, and plug it into our opacity. And now in our viewport here, I'm going to change our preview mesh to be a square, a cube. And I'm just going to roll on back a little bit, holding down my left mouse button. There you go. It's a little bit hard to see against that building background, but that is essentially what we're going to see in our game, is that kind of look. Don't worry, it's just projected on a cube right now. It's only going to look like that once we get it into the game. Okay, so this is our setup here for our deferred decal material. We're going to simply save here. And then we want to duplicate this for our right foot, because this is only going to be a projection for our left foot. So the easy way of doing this is to come into where we've got this material created. I'm going to right click on this material, simply duplicate it, and we will just change this to be decal gravel footprint. Right. Going to double click on this guy to open it up, and the only thing we need to swap out here is our texture samples. So instead of gravel footprint left D, we'll simply scroll on down and do gravel footprint right D. Never mind those streaks. And then for our normal footprint right here, T gravel footprint left N, we'll change that to be the right underscore N. Preview mesh on that cube there. Mouse wheel back a little bit. And yeah, those are a little bit tricky to see sometimes. Okay, and we'll save that as well. Okay, now currently I have these two decal materials saved in my textures folder, and I like to be organized. So I'm simply going to have both of these selected, holding down Control, selecting both. And then I'm going to left click and move them into my landscape materials folder. It's going to say, what do you want to do? Do you want to copy it here or move it here? I simply want to move it here. And now we are all nice and organized with those two materials inside of our materials folder.